All right, so are you ready to break down a Champions League match that was absolutely wild?
Oh, yeah, let's get into it.
We're talking PSV Eindhoven going up against Shakhtar Donetsk.
You know?
And this match just shows you a 2-goal lead doesn't mean anything in football.
Oh, not at all.
It was
Nothing is safe.
a complete turnaround.
Yeah.
And a really interesting result for both teams.
So before we get too far, let's remind everybody, this is where we take one single source
Right.
and just go deep on it.
Yep.
And today we're looking at a Champions League match report between PSV and Shakhtar Donetsk.
That's right.
So like I said, this was a crazy match, but, for Shakhtar, they were coming in, playing really well. They had, some wins behind them.
A whole streak.
Yeah, and they were looking to really cement their place.
Right.
In the knockout stage. And actually, it would have been the first time in 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years.
Which is kind of crazy to think about.
It is a long time.
PSV, on the other hand, needed a win.
They did.
Desperately.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the report really does a good job of laying out just how strong Shakhtar came out.
They came out flying.
They scored in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, just...
Didn't even give PSV a chance to...
Didn't even let them breathe.
Breathe, yeah.
So
tell me about that goal.
It was just a textbook counterattack. And, textbook perfect execution. They just went straight down the pitch. PSV's defense is scrambling, trying to catch up.
Yeah.
And it was Danylo Sikan, perfectly placed to just meet Yukhym Konoplya's cross and just like that they were ahead.
Yeah, and it really, just reading this report, it felt like that goal wasn't just a goal.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a statement.
100%. Yeah, like we're here to win.
Yeah, exactly. Like
we are the better team.
Here to dominate.
Exactly. And they kind of were, for a good chunk of that first half.
So, I was reading through this and it really did seem like PSV was kind of on their heels for a while.
Oh, really?
But they did have some chances, right? They did have a couple of flashes,
What about that one?
Around the 18th minute from Saibari.
Yeah.
They had a couple from Lang as well. But Shakhtar's goalkeeper, Dmytro Riznyk, he was just a wall.
Oh, wow.
Anything PSV threw at him, he was there.
Really impressive.
It was impressive.
So, yeah, you mentioned, Shakhtar dominating that first half.
Yeah.
And, they doubled their lead.
They did.
Zubkov with just an amazing goal.
Oh, it was a beauty. It really was. He used the defender as a screen and then just curled the ball around him with the outside of his boot.
Oh, wow.
So, classic technique to create space.
Yeah.
In the box. And it was just, unstoppable.
And at that point, you really got to think, Shakhtar.
2-0.
They're feeling good.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
It's their game to lose.
And they almost got a third.
Almost.
Right.
Yeah. Pedro Henrique.
Tell me about that.
He almost put the game beyond reach, I think, if that goes in. It's over.
Yeah.
But his volley just went wide.
So at this point, I'm reading this and I'm thinking, okay, 2 goals down. They almost score a third. This is it for PSV.
Yeah. Lights out.
Yeah, lights out. And that's where things get really interesting.
Oh, that's the turning point.
Pedro Henrique goes from almost scoring to a red card.
A red card.
So what happened?
Yeah. So it was a challenge on Bakayoko, and it was a little reckless, but I think, most refs would have probably given a yellow.
Yeah.
But VAR took a look, and I think, with VAR these days, it's really hard to tell.
It really is.
What they're going to decide. And they decided red.
Yeah, and red cards they always change a game.
Always.
But this one
was huge.
Huge.
Yeah, it just swung the momentum so hard in PSV's favor.
Yeah, and, I'm looking back to before the red card, and it did seem like PSV was maybe starting to, show a little life.
Yeah, they were getting frustrated.
Yeah, they were getting a little frustrated.
You could tell.
So do you think maybe Shakhtar kind of,
let their guard down a little bit?
Well, yeah, let the guard down.
Maybe just a little complacent, thinking they had it in the bag.
Yeah.
But regardless, that red card, it just injected PSV with this crazy energy.
Felt like someone flipped a switch.
It did.
All of a sudden it's all PSV and then boom.
Tillman
scores. But this goal sounds pretty lucky.
It was a weird one. It really was, it was a deflected free kick, and Riznyk, who had been amazing up to this point, he accidentally carries it over the line.
Oh, wow.
So just one of those moments where you're like, is this a turning point?
Yeah. Are things changing?
Yeah.
And changed they did.
Big time.
Tillman scores his second. And this one was no fluke.
No, this was a streamer.
So describe this one for me.
Okay, so Tillman gets the ball about 25 yards out.
Okay.
Takes a touch to settle it. and then just unleashes this rocket straight into the top corner.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Riznyk had no chance.
No chance.
It was just pure skill.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell he meant to do that. And I can only imagine the crowd went wild.
Oh, yeah. I bet they did.
Yeah.
So from 2-0 down to all tied up in like what felt like minutes.
Minutes.
Just an incredible momentum shift.
Absolutely incredible.
But of course, the story doesn't end there.
It does not.
Ricardo Pepi in added time.
Stoppage time.
Yeah, stoppage time, scrambles it in.
The win
gets the winner.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So what a way to end this crazy match.
Chaotic.
Chaotic, right?
It really was.
Those last few minutes, I can only imagine just back and forth.
Oh, yeah. Attacks, counterattacks, everybody's scrambling.
Yeah.
But PSV, they just never gave up.
And they got rewarded for it.
They did.
So a tough loss for Shakhtar, a huge win for PSV. What does this result mean for both teams?
I think for Shakhtar, it's a real setback. They were on such a good run, and I think this really puts a dent in their hopes of making the knockout stage, after 7 years.
Yeah.
They really thought this was their year.
Yeah.
And it still could be, but, this loss really hurts them.
And for PSV, this was huge, right?
Oh, yeah. I think it shows they have the resilience, they can adapt, and they know how to capitalize when their opponents make mistakes.
Yeah, so we started this by saying this match was a roller coaster.
Yeah, it really was.
And it really was, from Shakhtar looking like they were going to just run away with it to PSV just pulling off an amazing comeback.
And those individual moments of brilliance, too.
Yeah, so much happened in this match. But I guess what I really want to know is, which team do you think is better equipped?
Oh, that's a good question.
To handle, the pressure of the Champions League?
Yeah. After a match like this.
Yeah, because both teams showed a lot.
They did.
So I'll leave that with you.
All right.
To think about.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for today's Deep Dive.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon with another one.
Bye.
DCI Moshe.